markets and how we are trading it. And Mark, and I don't even know what to bring up first. Let's bring this up. A sea of red this morning,
Look
and
at
not a
that.
little bit of red. This is light red, which means really, really bright red. Down, down, down this morning.
Yeah, interesting because it was a bit of a muted start to the session, a little bit quiet, but selling off today, and you don't see much strength there. All red, like you pointed out, Marcus.
Yeah, and I mean, let's take a look at a 5 minute chart of the E-mini S&P to see of what has happened as we started the session here. So first of all, we see that futures overnight have been moving lower. And this was after the presidential debate began. Right here, the presidential debate began. Futures have been moving lower. Then a little bit of hope this morning. And then we had the CPI data coming out. Initially, we saw that it was a move lower, half a percentage point that the markets moved lower. After that, they moved up by 0.7% and have been sliding ever since.
Yeah, and we knew going into today's session there could be some volatility and movement in reaction to two events, the debate last night, and then also inflation data today.
Yeah. Let's dissect the inflation data first, because this is where we look at the calendar, the economic calendar, and we see that inflation came in kind of with what we were expecting.
Exactly. And you see here that CPI was in line. Core CPI came in a tick higher, and the year over year CPI came in line with expectations. That was the lowest year over year reading, I think, going back to March 2021, if I recall. But that core CPI number up a tick isn't necessarily what investors and the Fed wants, but it's not necessarily going to change the Fed's direction next week. However, it seems like, at least based on the market reaction, that investors were still overly optimistic, maybe hoping for a half point cut. And I think that this 0.3% reading just makes a quarter point a done deal.
Because I'm very, very surprised by the market reaction. We talked about it yesterday. Unless we see a huge increase or decrease in CPI. I mean, the 0.3% here, as we saw on the 5 minute chart of the mini S&P, that is really not what makes these markets slide here. And yeah, I mean, talking about the probabilities, I think this morning we kind of got locked in at an 83% probability for a quarter percentage point cut versus the half. And I mean, I think we have been in this camp all along. Now we have one more important inflation data coming out, and this tomorrow. That is the PPI. But again, unless we see any surprises here, I believe we're kind of locked in at a quarter point next week.
Exactly. And I mean, that's what Fed funds futures are pointing to. And we know that last couple of weeks it's been a bit mixed, but maybe a half point on the table. But we've always thought it was a quarter point, and I think at this point it's pretty much a done deal.
Right. And I mean, we also should look here at the year over year percent change. I mean, look at this. The Fed has always been saying we're waiting for more data, we're waiting for more data. But this is what they have been saying as we were kind of moving sideways here because they said, okay, we want to know, does this downtrend that we started continue, or does it mean that now we are moving up or inflation is more stubborn? This trend has resumed. The Fed has all the data they need to lower interest rates. And we talked about it. Lowering interest rates by half a percentage point would actually be devastating for the market. But as I said this morning, market participants say, oh, we kind of have been eyeballing a half a percentage point. I don't know. What do you
Hoping,
make of this move?
hoping. Yeah, I mean, maybe because I mean, this is the tricky part of rate cuts, right? Because many times rate cuts are going into a weaker economy and supporting, trying to help the overall stability of the job market in price stability. But it's in this case it's because of the rate increases and inflation. And yeah, I mean, it would be nice to have half point cuts. It would be nice to see the rates come down, but the Fed using rates as a tool to combat inflation, if they do that, it's a good sign that they're concerned about the economy. So it's just messed up.
Yeah. I mean, let's see. We see that right now, as we started the show, we are coming off session lows. So maybe we're rallying back. I mean, we'll take a look at this in 10 minutes again to see what exactly is happening. But we should probably also talk about the presidential debate last night between the presidential candidates, Kamala Harris and Donald Trump. So, what do you think? Who won? Did you watch the debate?
I watched part of it, and this is where I think what really matters in this situation. We talked about it in our mastermind meeting. What matters is what the market's telling us, right? Because we know that there are people out there that are extremely passionate about their political beliefs and who they are backing, and that's okay. But what really matters to us is what are the markets saying? How does this impact the market? And Marcus, you brought up two stocks this morning that I think paint the clear picture of who investors believe won the debate, and that is solar stocks and DJT.
Yeah. I mean, trade what you see, not what you think. Have you ever heard us saying this? This is what we have on our mugs. And so let's see. Let's take a look at what we see, not what we think. So this morning, DJT, Donald Trump's social media company, down 13%, coming off the session lows, but we see a massive slide change from yesterday to today, 13% down. On the other hand, solar stocks like CSIQ, one of the stocks that we own, up right now 6%. Now, the Democrats and presidential candidate Harris, they're probably more favoring solar renewable energies. And this is what we see this morning. We see that all solar stocks, whether we look at FSLR, First Solar, up 7%, CSIQ. So they are up. Donald Trump's media company down. I mean, this tells you what investors are thinking happened last night. Now, I did hear that both campaigns are planning another presidential debate. I haven't heard that it was confirmed just yet, but right now, this is what the markets are thinking. But again,
Exactly.
all overshadowed by the CPI data this morning.
Agreed.
And Taylor Swift. And Taylor Swift. Who knows? Okay.
Possibly.
So let's see. We also had another stock making news. GameStop this morning down 15% after reporting earnings yesterday. Lower sales, stock offering. Did you look into this?
GameStop, yeah, and so their revenue in the last quarter was a drop of 20%. They also announced an at-the-market stock offering of up to 20 million shares. So just steep decline in sales, and investors not too happy with this one.
Yeah. We haven't heard anything from Roaring Kitten in a long time.
I know.
I mean, last time we heard something from him was, in May when suddenly he came back. Almost, it seemed, from the dead. And then there was a few weeks of Roaring Kitten, and then I think he moved on to a different stock.
Looks like, yeah, Chewy for a little bit.
Chewy. How is Chewy doing? What is
I
it?
don't think Chewy's doing
CHWY is the ticker symbol. Oh, okay.
in there.
Well, he would be doing better with Chewy than with with GameStop.
Yep, looks like it.
All right. Let's take a look at our positions and how these crazy markets are affecting our positions. And first of all, for WTF, we have no open trades right now as we went into the session because We had two exits. CEG, a profitable exit, although this was a stock that we did not take. And then AVGO. I mean, this just worked out beautifully. This morning, I think we closed it out with a 6.8, 6.9% gain.
Nice route. I mean, this is exactly what we want from WTF trades and why we take them. You have that big drop and oversold situation. The software identifies an entry signal. We get in, we hold it for 2 days, get a nice bounce and exit. Of course, they don't all go that way, but that's exactly why we trade the strategy. This is what we're looking for.
Yeah. And also very interesting because on the first day after we entered, because we entered at 139.11, we see that it was first moving lower and then basically taking off over the next couple of days. Well, two new signals. Let's talk about these. So, two new signals this morning. First up, BKR, Baker Hughes.
Yeah, and this one, it has pulled back just a little bit from the original entry with the broad market, and that can definitely happen. But like this one as a possibility, I traded it.
Yep, same here. Traded it, going long at 33.31. Right now, trading slightly below. Overall, down today, 1.8%. But this is what we see in the markets right now. So going down with the markets. And the other one was GM, General Motors.
Yeah, another one like this opportunity. I mean, this is where, again, looking at that chart, yeah, that extreme oversold situation opened up decent, but has pulled back a little bit with the broad market. This is another one that I bought as well.
Yeah, same here. So got it at 44.69 right now, trading 60, 70 cents lower. And we'll see what happens here with those. Now, moving over to our wheel positions. And yeah, first up, I mean, CSIQ this morning having a great morning, huge jump higher. And we see that right now trading up 7.5%. I'll take this. Nothing yet to do, but that's what we have been talking about, right? That it just needs a small impulse. And we already saw that
Yep.
yesterday we were up 4%. So with today move, if you look from the lows that we made yesterday to today's high, that's an 18 to 19% move. So nothing yet to do, but definitely on the right trajectory this morning.
Absolutely.
HAL and BP, on the other hand, still moving lower together with crude oil and the overall market. Hanging in there, though, because right now we are down, 1.3% in the Dow, 1.2% in the S&P, down 1.4, 1.5% for HAL. Nothing to do just yet.
Yeah, BP flat, HAL moving lower, and crude oil looked like it was going to run today, but trading right around where it opened.
Yeah, so crude oil, as we can see, also pulling back. And it looked like we would finally move back into the 70 range, but not yet. So the price per barrel crude oil at $66 at lows that we haven't seen, or price that we haven't seen since May 2023. So way more than a year ago, a year and 6 months almost. Well, math is not an exact science. Anyhow, going back, and then we have coals. Coals are a little bit surprising today. I mean, at first we knew that coals would actually move lower because they did pay, or they do have ex-dividend today. So let me just bring it up. So coals today, a dividend payment of 50 cents, and this is where usually not a big deal. We see that the stock drops by the dividend. Right now, Coles, although, is dropped $1.50, so down right now. Wow, 7.5%. I'm wondering what caused that. Is that the
Yeah,
whole
interesting.
inflation story? I mean, because that's not linked to the presidential debate.
Yep.
So anyhow, I got to sign at 21.50. So we'll see what happens there. If this turns around with the overall market, nothing for me to do just yet. Mark, kind of hanging in there. I mean, having a pretty good day, down only 0.4%, less than the markets. I'll take this. So trading slightly below my break even. And then UPS. UPS this morning or yesterday doing great. Yesterday having a nice day for UPS because yesterday, where did we go? I mean, up 0.75%. For UPS, that's not bad at all. Today, lower with the overall market. So we are right back in our range between 124 and 132. And we're right there in the middle of the range. Meow.
Come on, UPS.
Come on, UPS. You can do
I mean,
better.
such a great range, but this just needs to move. And to the upside, to be clear here.
And to the
Maybe we
upside.
need to like make some brown Rockwell shirts and get the UPS Brown involved.
Yeah. Although we can take a look because we are interested in the rescue mission at
True.
125. So it seems that we talked about it yesterday that this might actually give us a good opportunity. What do we see at the 125 level for next week? 32%, 126. So let's see if we might get a little bit of push lower before we start flying a rescue mission here.
I
You're
like
awfully quiet. Are you putting in some orders?
no. I like this is one to watch for me.
Definitely. All right. Well, let's take a look at the overall markets again in just a moment to see if we are coming off session lows or if we are still moving lower, if everything is still bright red. And before we do this, it is time for our joke of the day, our bad dad jokes. What do you got for us today, Mark?
How do you tell the difference between a man and a dog?
I don't know.
The man is in a three-piece suit. The dog just pants.
Okay. Okay.
I mean, that's as dad joke as it gets. I mean, that's just true. It has dad joke all over it.
All right. Race to the bottom today. Here's mine. What did the triangle say to the circle?
What?
You're pointless.
And again, true to dad joke form.
It's a race to the bottom today. Talk about race to the bottom. Let's go to the S&P, and we see that right now we are bouncing back a little bit. I mean, after this steep slide, let's just see the move. I mean, from where we opened to this lows, 1.7% in the S&P, coming off the lows right now. Same in the NASDAQ. NASDAQ right now, the strongest of the indices, hanging in with 0.7% decline. The Dow coming off the low. The VIX reversing, up 6% still for the day. So, I mean, Mark, what do you expect for the remainder of the day?
You know, I think that we could see a little bit of a reversal. I don't think we're going to go positive, but again, I think that this dip was just a little overdone because CPI data was good, and if there were any debate concerns, that would have occurred at the beginning of the trading day, right? So I think we could stay here or push a little bit higher.
Yeah, I agree. Probably finishing up negative because now we want to see what does the PPI data bring that we have tomorrow on deck. So looking at the economic calendar, tomorrow before markets open, we have the PPI data. And now after we had a little bit of a surprise in the core CPI, I want to see what does this data reveal.
Exactly.
All right. Well, with that said, I hope that you found this this helpful. If you did, give us a like. We really appreciate it. Leave a comment after the show is over of who had the worst dad joke today. And then if you feel that this was information worth sharing, there's a share button right underneath. And you don't want to miss tomorrow's show. So hit subscribe if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet. And we'll be back and letting you know where we finished today. What about these sectors that we have been looking at that are positive, defying the trend today? Solar. Will this continue? And then also, what did the PPI data reveal? And with that said, have a great rest of your day.
Happy trading, everybody.